Hello, this is Hannes, and in the next 10 minutes I would like to give you an overview and a first step into Skyrim modding. So what you actually would like to do if you want to start modding Skyrim is you need to install the creation kit, because it's the only way to edit and handle new content for Skyrim. Luckily you will get it for free from Bethesda. So if you have the old Skyrim 32-bit version, you can just go to your library, check the tools, and then search for Skyrim Creation Kit. Just double click and download, and you can immediately start. If you have the new Special Edition of Skyrim with a 64-bit version, you might want to go to the website of Bethesda and then download their launcher. Upon download, you will be able to start the launcher and then go into Creation Kit and play. The thing is that Creation Kit actually originally only loads one master file, but you want to load all packages. So to make that, go to the ini file, which is a text document in your Skyrim folder, and set bAllowMultipleMasterLoads to 1 and check that there are all packages loaded, else put them in. If your game is actually not using the English version of the game, you might get some error messages stating that it cannot find the lines. You just need to paste an additional line there in the ini file saying that your language is, for example, Italian or German, as you prefer. So, if you were starting this creation kit, you can obviously see 4 places. The top menu bar, then on the left side the object window, on the right side the render window where you see the world, and in the bottom the cell view window where you can go through the world and load different cells where you edit the world. Also note that on the left you can already see the different kinds of objects and data files that you can use. Now, we didn't load anything yet, so you would like to start by opening a master file resource, at least the Skyrim ESM, and then click OK. It will automatically generate a new ESP if you click on save. Else, if you want to work on an existing ESP file from yourself or somebody, you need to set as active file and then load. So on loading you will get these little messages that tell you there are some problems with the files. Don't worry, just go to yes to all and then you can just skip them. Else if you want to check all of them, you just go to yes. If you hit no, it will kick you out. Also, don't worry if it takes some time, the loading status will be shown on the bottom. Now, once you've been loading all those files, you can actually use the search bar at the object window on the top left, and you can use a little star as a wildcard if you don't remember the exact name, but just some parts like tent and snow or something. Now you can double click on those base objects you can see in the left window, and they will be copied inside the world and as objects, and so now you can edit them. In the cell window now you can go to Tamriel. So first you look for world space and then it will automatically load all cells connected to that world space. Also, if you check that world space and select it, you can see all objects inside on the right, and if you double click in the left on that cell, it will load it in the render window, where again you will get these error messages. Just again, you just can hit yes to all, and then finally you will be put out into this world space, in Riverwood in this case. Now we don't need these markers, so we just go to view and markers and untick that, so we don't need to see that now. So now you see it actually pretty much like in game. So what we want to do now is just drag and drop with the left mouse button our static object and put it in there. And as you can see, you can rotate it. If you press the V button, these options will show up. Or else you can also hit the E button to move it straight into one direction. You just have to use your left mouse button to go onto these colored symbols to move it, or the set button. Check that you untick that free movement is allowed in rotation and straight movement in the top Also you can scale it with S. Also you can double click the concrete copied object in the render window and then edit it in multiple ways for your likings. You will later see to add scripts and so on. So now what we want to do is just before we screw up something in game, we just duplicate a base item, a base object, and rename it to make a new one that is not used yet. So we can go to directional material none, so we don't have snow there, and we can edit the base model. If we click on edit there, a new window will pop up where you can see to set a new mesh and a new texture. Now I've been clicking on this texture, name of the texture, and there will be a new window where you can actually, again by a search filter, look for what you want. And just for the fun of it, I look for a stone wall and apply to it, so you can see the difference in game very easily. You can see in the preview window how it should look, and then it will actually ask you if you really want to use the same name, and if you say no, it will actually use your new name. It's just a security thing, so you don't screw up stuff that is already implemented in the cell somewhere else or in the world space. And then exactly you have to say yes again. So now just again drag and drop it right next to the other tent so you can see the difference, and yes, it is a new object. Okay, now let's save this, and by saving, clicking the save button or go to file save, we actually create our own first ESP. If the process was successful, you should be able to see the name of your ESP in the top bar. So now you can go to Skyrim directly and in the main menu open console and COC for center on cell and teleport to Riverwood. Ah, there it is, see, it worked. Okay, congratulations, this was your first mod, and you see it's pretty easy to put in new stuff. So adding new content to this game is really fun because it's not so hard actually. And you should notice that most of the data files, the biggest data volume is textures. So you can expect that using the same models, even though you always use the same models, you can do a lot of things if you use different varieties of handmade texture sets. If you want to make new files, you should better have some references, so you should unpack original vanilla files. Luckily there are some tools in the community on the Nexus mods. For the old Skyrim it's this BSA opt, it's the most famous one, and also this BSA extractor for the new Skyrim. There are other tools as well, but it's the personal preference. If you want to edit content, it's very good if you can check it. So NIFScope is a very handy tool to do so. It's also free and made by some hobby developers, and it's very handy. You don't need a heavy modeling software, you just have this small tool to open something, edit the textures, the collision boxes, the UV maps, a little bit the animations and the shaders and a few other things. But of course you have to look deeper into it. And here you can see I opened a kukri, a Nordic knife, and you see 4 texture layers. You will find out that every object has different layers of texture, which have, for example, the first one, the normal one, is diffusal, then the normal or height map, which gives you the steepness effect, also in this case a metal shine effect and a blot texture. Also there's stuff like environmental maps which has such a mirror effect, and various other types that you can see give you some glow or something. If you look deeper into it, you will find many ways to do new things. It's very interesting. So on this place I would like to recommend some very well-made tutorials, which I'm not expert in, but I would like to give you, for example, of course, Bethesda's tutorial to give a great overview over what you can achieve with a creation kit and with modding. All these videos just about 10 minutes, so it's pretty easy to watch them. And if you go into a certain category for advanced things, Dark Fox 227 I think is a very well made production. And also there's a lot of other things like Bastion Slots and Sonic Wingnut and also Nightasy tutorials, very good for armor mods and for some graphic things with textures. And Goofer actually covers for the old 32-bit version of Skyrim how you can use the mod organizer with a virtual folder system that will prevent your vanilla data files from getting overwritten, which is very handy when you don't want crash. And of course the Skyrim Creation Kit wiki will give you the most compact information. I mostly use these tools when I do something. I would prefer GIMP before anything else because Photoshop is expensive and Paint.net I don't think it's so good. There are a few other things, but GIMP is very handy to use, and you have a plugin to export DDS files and also a plugin to make normal maps yourself. My American colleagues like to use Blender for modeling, but my European colleagues mostly like to use 3ds Max, which you can get actually a student's license for 2 years for free if you like to. Yeah, and of course for sound editing I personally recommend Audacity because it's free and has a lot of advanced features. I personally think it's completely sufficient for this what we are doing here, and because Skyrim doesn't only use WAVs but also XVM, you can get this this converter tool from the Nexus. So you actually have all the resources you need to start it and try some modding. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this. Have fun. And of course you can always visit us on Expedition to Admora, and there are other big communities like Dark Creations, so enjoy this. Goodbye.